Have you ever wondered why you find yourself in a repetitive cycle, repeating the same things over and over again, only to find that you're back where you started? Well, it might be because you are locked into a certain energy pattern, an energy code that is congruent in your circuitry, that is keeping you from stepping into this new version of yourself. Problem is that we aren't bringing awareness to the specific areas of our life that are causing these blockages to occur, which causes us to see through the filter, through the lens of this distortion, this distorted pattern within our circuitry that causes us to create from this space outwardly. We create this distorted pattern and we attract things to us from that space. This is what causes us to repeat these cycles until we begin to understand why and what patterns we are continuing to step into. So until we bring awareness to that, we're not going to be able to break free from these distortions, from these distorted patterns that have locked themselves within our circuitry. You stick with me here. I'll explain to you how to use these codes, these energy codes that Dr. Sue Mortimer talks about, to be able to align ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually so that we can fully encompass the wholeness of our being and activate the dormant circuitry within us. Hi, I'm Cody, and I help people to activate their divine consciousness fire codes that will ignite your heart ablaze and open the door to limitless possibilities. So when we begin to understand the bioelectrical energy that is composed within us, we understand that we are simply cells working together. We are simply a collection of beings working together to formulate what we perceive as our body. Within that frame, we are creating an ecosystem with everything that we do, with the actions that we take, with the things that we think, and the things that we put in our body. Things that we eat, things that we watch and consume. If we begin to notice the patterns that we have become subject to throughout our lives, then we can begin to rewire our circuitry so that we can create new patterns and step into new versions of ourselves, to align ourselves to our highest purpose by understanding how to unlock these dormant parts of ourselves. Within this book, Energy Codes, The Energy Codes by Dr. Sue Mortimer, it talks about the different levels that we have and are composed within us. It talks about the various bodies that we have, and it breaks it down very, very well. And it takes a more scientific approach to our spiritual nature as these divine beings of consciousness. One of the things that it talks about that I really like is how these translate into the physical body, into our actual everyday physical world. So we get these physical symptoms, and it's honestly a result of something that's been building up inside of the body. Because what happens is we accumulate these blockages and they build up over time, and within the body, once those blockages get so large, then it starts to block off the energy from flowing through us. And so we're not able to tap into our resources. We're not able to tap into the wholeness of who we are. And it creates these blockages, which causes other things in the physical realm to begin to take place. And oftentimes we can push past this to the point where we won't even realize it until it's too late, until we've actually manifested it in our bodies. That's why when we begin to get older, like 50s and 60s, we start to feel more of what we had done throughout our lives. We start to feel the accumulation of all these experiences and all these things that we have put ourselves through. And so this manifests as different symptoms and ailments, like you might have, even knee pain or something, could be a result of repressed anger that you've been stuffing down for years, maybe your entire life. You might have some ankle pain that could relate to some sort of sadness or something that you've held on to. You know, it could be anything. Literally, the energy that you feel is going to go somewhere, regardless. It has to go somewhere. If it doesn't get expressed and released, then it's going to go into your body and it's going to store there. Just because you don't express it to the world and you don't verbalize that in some way, or you don't feel into that in some way, then it's going to find a way to express itself. And that could come from these physical symptoms if you do not do the work before that happens. A lot of people wait until they experience chronic ailments or illnesses and things that cause them and force them to have to figure out a solution and change their lifestyle. But if they only realize that these energies were created from the patterns and habits that they had from their past selves, then they would be able to understand that these things are all connected. All these things coincide to make up who we are. Our physical bodies are our temples. And as a result, we have cut ourselves off from the energy that we are surrounded by and we are immersed within every single day. The sea of consciousness that we are living and breathing and moving through is something that we don't even realize the power that we have the ability to tap into. And our bodies are like lightning rods to take that energy, are like transmitters and receivers, because we put out this energy and then we get back energy. And that's why if we are operating from a distorted state, then we're going to create more of the distorted energies that we are feeling, the distortions that we are seeing and feeling through, because that is the reality that we are perceiving. That is the lens, the glasses that we currently have on. And if we cannot see greater than that, then we're not going to be able to manifest anything. Because if you cannot think greater than you feel, you're going to continue to feel into this energy and create these energetic ripples, these vibrations and frequencies that are going to emanate out to the world and create from those patterns. So you're only going to get back what you put out. That's what makes it very tough for us to break out of these patterns and cycles, because we do not know anything else. Oftentimes this is all we have ever known. You know, maybe this is what we experienced as a child growing up. And that's what we had to do. We had to really block off some of these parts of ourselves because we couldn't get angry when we wanted to. We couldn't show sadness. You know, we couldn't express our emotions in a way that was true and authentic. And so we had to push that down to be less than what we are so that we can survive. And that's what it's all about, is to getting out of a state of survival and into a state of thriving. And we do that by shifting our patterns and shifting our energy to align ourselves with the highest version. And we do that by releasing these distortions, by letting go of these distorted energy patterns that are causing ripples throughout our entire energetic system, and creating this circuitry that is causing these distortions to come out and through us. So we need to resolve the core issue so that we can get back to the core of ourselves. And that's what it's all about, is aligning our physical, mental, and spiritual bodies to get back to that core of who we are. And not only does she speak of energy codes, there's a lot of different types of codes that we can tap into. You know, my whole brand is the Codex, because it's really about tapping into these codes within us, within our DNA. And we are essentially like computer programs. We are living in this simulated reality that is very close to what we would perceive in a computer. It's literally the same exact makeup, just on a more advanced scale. And if we realize that, then we can tap into these codes and we can hack the system that's within us, which would allow us to extrapolate that onto the world And we will begin to step into new opportunities and new versions of ourselves that we didn't have access to before. We unlock this new circuitry that makes it available for us to fully embody and encompass the totality of who we are. We start to remember parts of ourselves that we have forgotten, or we have shoved down into a box or into a closet or pushed away. We start to truly embody and heal these parts of ourselves. And that gives us the freedom to open up and tap into these energies that have been there all along. It's just like in the Matrix. Honestly, it's very, very similar to the Matrix and how it is designed, because the Matrix is a very complex system in which we are currently living in. Because if you think about reality from an existential standpoint, as above, so below. So everything that ripples out and up is going to ripple down and in. It's going to be a reflection of itself, repeating itself through infinity. So it begins to ripple out. You see, our systems are designed to heal. We are designed to be these magnificent, miraculous machines, we'll call them, because we function like a machine, because these bodies are vessels, they're vehicles to take our spirit through this reality, through this simulation, if you will. And as we start to evolve and we start to heal these parts of ourselves that we have suppressed, we start to unlock new parts of ourselves that we didn't have access to before, and activate these dormant fire codes, as I like to refer to them. But the fire codes speak directly to the DNA. The energy codes, she also talks about how it is involved with the DNA, but also the energy bodies for which we are composed of. Because that is what makes up who we are. We aren't just these physical vessels. These physical vessels are just the lowest and densest forms of ourselves. So I'm not going to get super in depth, because I'm honestly still exploring this in her book. But what she talks about are in relation to the 7 chakras, or the 7 energy codes, which are like the roadmap to your soulful self. So here's a brief overview from the book of the 7 energy codes. First one is the anchoring code, getting back into your body. This is key for us to be able to shift, because if we are not present within ourselves, then we aren't going to be able to create from that space. You can only create from the point of which where you are within yourself. And if you are trying to create from the outside of a circle, then you're not going to have any leverage. You're not going to have the ability to be the creator in your life. So we need to get back to the center of the circle, to the core of ourselves, and create from that point. And from there, that is where we start to create major changes in our lives. Number 2, the feeling code, the language of the soul. Once we anchor into our bodies, we can start to heal our nervous system and start to rewire and move from our sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. And that gives us the ability to begin to rest and relax when we need to, so that we can heal and then show up as our fullest selves. It's like recharging our battery, because so many of us are walking around with our nervous system just constantly firing, because we're still in the fight or flight mode. We're constantly stressed. We're constantly just feeling all this stuff. We're not able to be in our bodies. We're not able to feel into who we are, into ourselves, into our soulful self, rather. So it keeps us locked into this pattern, because we're not even within our own vessel. Number 3 is the clearing code, the door to the subconscious. Once we begin to open the door of our subconscious, we can begin to shift things that are occurring on an unconscious level that will completely rewire how we perceive ourselves, how we see our identity, and we will begin to shift into a new version of ourselves. And I talked about the alter ego effect in some of my previous videos, but that is really powerful too, because it allows you to shift how you see your identity And once we change ourselves at an identity level and how we see and perceive ourselves, we start to shift the reality for which we are existing in and the world that we are navigating through. Number 4 is the heart code, the universal solvent. When you experience love, that energy is the energy of your soulful self. So we will use this energy of the heart to dissolve lower frequency energetic densities of the protected personality. And through that, we can break through our heart wall to step into deeper layers of ourselves. There's also a practice that I use in my coaching. It's called the emotion code, and it really helps to break through that heart wall, helps to break through these energies that have been stuck in our bodies for so long. And it can even pinpoint when it happened and what it is that it's causing us. It can even pinpoint when something happened, even if we aren't consciously aware of it, and get to the root of that so that it can be cleared from the body and healed at the core. Not only that, but there's a way to do it to which you can even clear ancestral codes. There's even a way to do it to where you can clear any ancestral residue that you might have towards specific topics. Number 5 is the breath code, the power of life itself. To manifest means to bring into physical reality. When we can synchronize with our breath, it enables us to use the power of the breath to bring it into parts of our body. It will allow us to utilize the breath to bring that into our body, the parts of our bodies that are blocked, and to unravel these blockages within us. It starts to move that energy out so that we can clear out the passageways and allow energy to flow smoothly. This lessens the hold that our protective personality has on us and opens the door to our soulful self. Number 6, the chemistry code, the alchemy of embodiment. So this is really connected to our external environment and creating the environment that we wish to have in our internal world, to create that externally. Because we are often reacting to our environment, and if we create the environment for which we wish to embody within ourselves, and we start to react and respond differently to not only our personal lives, but all aspects of our lives. Number 7, the spirit code, where many become one. When we identify with the mind, we begin to separate ourselves from everyone and everything. Because in this reality, we are all connected. We are all one at the core. But we've forgotten that. Because the ego and the mind separates these parts from everything else that is. And we don't realize the power of the one universal mind, which is all of us. All of us make up a collective body of consciousness, just like the cells in our body make up us, make up these physical bodies for which we are existing within. When focused on becoming truly present, it will still the thinking mind, allow it to calm down and relax, so that we can start to sink into this energy of surrender to the universe, to the divine consciousness that is driving everything. And we start to tap into and align ourselves not only with our highest selves, but with the highest version of what will create the best future for the collective. So you begin to shift your reality, and you start to step into your purpose, into your divine medicine that you came here to give the world. You begin to step into a place of creatorship. So I've really enjoyed being on this journey with you, my friend. And if you'd like to learn more, check out Energy Codes by Dr. Sue Mortimer. She has an incredible way of describing these immensely complex topics in a way that everybody can understand, and from a place of a scientific approach. I feel like that's very powerful. And if you would like coaching with this, I help to break through these walls, to dissolve the emotional blockages, and to activate the fire that is keeping you from stepping into your purpose, stepping out of your comfort zone, and doing what you've always wanted to do. So if that calls to you, feel free to reach out. I have a link down below. I also have a group as well, which I connect and work with other men to build up this divine masculine energy, because for so long we have lost this sense of community, this sense of tribal nature with each other, and it's kept us locked and separated from parts of ourselves, because we no longer have that, and it's such a key component to activating the highest version of ourselves. Because once upon a time, we used to go on these rites of passages as a tribe and as an individual. Especially men would go out on these vision quests. They would go out on these perilous journeys to take themselves from boyhood to manhood. And women also had their own rites of passage, and of course birth is a major rite of passage in itself. And I would like to talk about that more, because my girlfriend used to do a lot of birth work, and I didn't realize the power of going through this journey as a mother, and the process of developing and growing a baby inside of you. And that whole journey itself is a huge rite of passage. And it's truly magical, honestly. And we've lost so much of this rite of passage and this sense of initiation in our society. The closest thing for men in this society is joining the military, because you turn 18 and then you go and you get stripped down of basically all that you believed, and you have to conform to this whole new set of way of living. And it may be good for some people, but at the same time, I personally believe that it's a lot of toxic programming. And it may be great for some people, and I do believe a lot of people do it for the right reasons. But personally, I believe who we are serving is very toxic and doesn't really want for the betterment of us and the collective. So I believe it could be a good thing in theory. I believe that having that sense of protection, like a warrior tribe, is important. But in this day and age, we have forgotten so much of who we are that it's just become all about power and control. And I personally don't support that. But I understand that everybody has a different path. And I don't believe that we should have to go through that to gain this type of rite of passage. And not only that, but the way that we used to interact with our tribe, and we would have ancestral grandmothers and grandfathers who would play these like shamanic roles and facilitate to make sure that we would be able to grow into our fullest soulful self. And we've lost nearly all of that aspect. We've become so separated from each other, living in these boxes. Living in these giant boxes, separated from each other with these walls, separated from nature. And even within the homes, we're separated from each other as well, with the many walls that we have. Honestly, that's synonymous to how we are living as a collective, because it didn't used to be like this. And I believe that we are moving back to that origin, that place, that primordial place of spirit. And so I invite you, if you are wanting to cultivate this energy, this divine masculine energy, to join the group. I have a link down below, and I would love to connect with you to go on this rite of passage, this pilgrimage with you. Regardless if you join or not, I am so blessed to be on this journey with you, my friend. I learned so much interacting with you. I learned so much just from being here and connecting with so many different people from many different walks of life. And it's truly an honor to be able to step into that and to walk this path with you. Remember, keep taking those steps out of your comfort zone. Keep moving towards your dreams and keep unlocking those fire codes that will take you to the next level of yourself. Peace, love, namaste, my friend.